Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of July. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How is it going, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek. It's not bad. A fairly quiet day in the world of Rangers yesterday. Unusually so. There's usually been plenty to get through over the course of the summer so far. But no, yesterday it was fairly slim pickings. But I'm sure we'll manage to get through the next half an hour as always, because as always, people usually have comments and people come at us with questions and stuff, and so usually we can somehow get through.
Yeah, get your act together, Rangers. We want signings and signings now. But before we crack on with all things Rangers, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors, as ever, MPH Boilers. The all-important link is in the description below. If you need a new boiler, folks, these are the guys to call. Right, let's get cracking. Good to see Clinton Nsiala pitching up at Ibrox. He gave an interview to Rangers TV yesterday, and he is now in training with the squad. Spoke very well, of course. He joined from AC Milan. He rejected an offer of a contract extension at the Italian Giants to put pen to paper on a deal at Rangers. And speaking to Rangers TV, I'll read you what he had to say, folks. He says, first of all, there's a huge sense of pride. This club is legendary with lots of titles and lots of prestige, including in Europe. I'm honestly very honoured to sign for this club. I know it's a club that the fans are very committed to. They put so much heart in getting behind the team in every competition. I feel a big sense of responsibility and lots of anticipation and excitement about experiencing the atmosphere too. I know the manager, he coached at Monaco as well as in the Belgian league. He always puts a lot of faith in young players. As a young player, that was a big factor for me in my decision to come to Glasgow. It helps to have a coach like Philippe Clement. He gives a lot of support to young players, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't make it feel like a big step. Having a coach like that will help me progress. So I'm not focused on the step up from academy to senior level. He continued. Says, being an elite athlete, it's normal to experience different environments, to move to different countries and travel to different continents frequently. I don't see it as an obstacle moving to Scotland. It's just part of the job. As a player, my qualities are technique, aggression, and anticipation. I started playing football when I was 6 years old at CPB Brequigny, is that how you pronounce it? Sorry if I've butchered that name, in my hometown of Rennes. After that, I moved to FC Nantes. Then I signed for AC Milan, where I spent 3 seasons. And now today I'm at Rangers. I had some unforgettable experiences at Milan, particularly the first time I was in a matchday squad was in the Champions League against Newcastle. Those are moments I'll never forget. I was in the squad for Europa League and Serie A games too. Being up close to players like that every day in training taught me about the demands expected at that level. Technically, everyone is at more or less the same level, but what makes the difference is the demands you place on yourself, whether that's on an individual or a team level. Being here just now makes me so excited. I'm also calm and always humble. I'm really excited to get to know the staff, the atmosphere, the players and the fans too. I'm so excited all round, but I'm staying calm and humble too. Like that interview, Chris, I'm excited about seeing this boy. He's excited. I think most of us, well, pretty much all of us are excited about seeing what he can bring to this Rangers team. The fact that Milan were keen to tie him down on a longer deal tells you that he's highly thought of there, so it could turn out to be quite a coup.
Fingers crossed it does. I had a piece on the site, I think it was the week of Nsiala signing, with a bit of background on him and a bit of insight into his story in the game and how he ended up signing on at Rangers this summer. And one of the main points in that piece was the sales pitch, if you like, that Philippe Clement and Niels Coppin put to him. And a lot of that was around the chances that younger players will get in this Rangers side, the way the manager is going to remodel the squad, the way he wants to play. And I think that comes across in that interview that he's done with Rangers TV there. I think he's clearly someone who has a bit of belief in himself. I think that, again, I spoke to a couple of people that know him and that have worked with him. He decided to make the move at a young age from that academy. He made the move into Nantes when he did not get the opportunities that he felt he merited at Nantes. He made the move to AC Milan. He's also had some great experiences, as he outlined there. Didn't manage to make that first team breakthrough, and he's now been sitting thinking the last few months, is Milan going to be the right place for me to take that next step in my career? He decided that it wasn't. He did have that offer on the table from Milan. They went to him twice with new contracts to try and get him to extend his stay there. There was interest from other Serie A clubs. There's interest in France and Germany. But Rangers managed to get to the head of the queue. Rangers managed to put a proposal in front of him that gave him enough belief that Rangers was the right place for him to go and take that next step. As I say, he's hard. I think he's a hard one to judge because at his age, his profile, no first-team football behind him. Do we know if he is ready to go in and be a regular in this Rangers squad? What is the expectation of him? Does he play 15 times next season? Does he play 30 times next season? I think a lot of that also depends on the other work that is done at centre half, because there's plenty of work still required in that area of the side. But I think it's a good signing from Rangers. It's not going to be a break the bank one. They've not had to pay a big fee for him. And if he turns out to be the player that the manager and Neil Scotland believe that he can be, then hopefully he is one who fits in this transfer model that we have spoken so often about over the years. He could be one that really fits into that. If he's successful here, the team do well, European football, he has the profile of someone who could go on to a higher level. So hopefully we'll see him during the pre-season games. I'm sure we will. Be interesting to get a look at him. A left-sided centre half. He outlined some of his qualities there. We've been crying out for a proper left-sided centre half for quite some time. So fingers crossed, the guy turns out to be the real deal. I think it's important that the fans don't put, yes, he's come from AC Milan, yes, he's a youth internationalist.
Yeah, he's not Paolo Maldini.
Let's not. Well, he is very close to Paolo, and Paolo sat alongside him when he signed his AC Milan contract. Maldini was sat there alongside him. Maldini played a big part in getting him to Milan in the first place. But no, he is not the new Paolo Maldini. Let's not go too over the top on the praise of him. But he's an interesting profile. But ultimately, time will tell. No, once he starts to play, once he gets settled into Rangers, then we can really see what he's made of and how his campaign is going to unfold.
Yep. Thanks to Jock for correcting me on the pronunciation of that town in France, Breckeney. So thanks for that, Jock. But I was on the Q&A yesterday with the Rangers Review Extra channel, Chris, and I said, touching on where Rangers still need to strengthen with Nsiala coming in. Do you think Rangers, still need one or two centre-backs for you? I think there's still a need there. Of course, Leon Balogun's there at this point of recording. Connor Goldson, Ben Davies are still Rangers players. Whether that is still the case when the window shuts, who knows? But if they are to depart, would you like to see two more centre-backs come in?
I think there's definitely some work to be done to strengthen that particular part of the team. As I just outlined there, I don't think you can put too much pressure on Nsiala coming in and expect him to go and be a 50-game a season stalwart over the course of the campaign. Balogun, we know what he'll give you, but it's probably there as the fourth choice, if you like, a good experienced guy to have in the changing room, a good guy that you can have to come into the side in different moments. Rangers definitely looking for a starting, nailed down centre half. I think we're both in agreement that it's time for Leon King to move on for the sake of his career, has to go and play football somewhere. I think we're both in agreement that Ben Davies should be moved on, and that is a transfer fee and wages that can be utilised in a different way. And of course, it then comes down to the Connor Goldson question. Will he be here? Will he not? Regardless of whether Connor's here or not, I'd like to see someone come in ahead of him. If Connor is still here come the end of the transfer window, that doesn't mean to say that he has the same place in this squad, in this team that he has had over so many seasons. I think the Rangers now need to move on to a different area or a different era of centre half. We know there was the strong interest in Cordoba at the start of the window. That one didn't get over the line because he dilly-dallied on it and then chose to go to Norwich instead. Rangers had to move on to other options. Slightly surprised that other option isn't in yet. There's also been a few names batted around and of potentials, but I think it's definitely an area where I would like to see a proper starter come in, someone you can say 9 times out of 10 they're going to turn up at training. 9 times out of 10 they're going to be in the team. You need someone who's reliable, who's robust. You can build that back four around, especially when there could be changes at right back potentially. But perhaps looking at Dujon Sterling going in there, we know there could be changes at left back if Hefty comes in and plays more often than Ridvan, and you then do still have that other centre back place, and that's before you then get to the goalkeeper question. Hopefully that one's not on the table. So in that defensive unit, there could be a lot of changes. There could be a lot of new faces. That will take time. They need time to play alongside each other, to get to know each other. So ideally, I think that's one of the key bits of business that Rangers would like to do sooner rather than later. I wouldn't like to be going into a couple of days before the campaign starts domestically and also the European games with no nailed down starting centre half. So hopefully that's someone that's I hope that's something that's certainly in the pipeline.
Yes, there are lots of comments coming. I'm keen to get to a few of them. First of all, a bit of a shout out here. Davey gets in touch. A big shout out, Derek. My nephew Barry, who got married out here in Cyprus on Friday. Congratulations, Barry. Not jealous whatsoever that you guys are out there in the blistering sunshine and we are stuck here in the grey and gloomy British weather. What's it like Carluke, Chris, today?
It's horrible this morning. It's not very nice. So your comments regarding Davey and his wedding there. I hope Barry had a wonderful day. Many congratulations to them. But if they can bring the sunshine back with them, that'd be smashing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll address this as well. This popped in, this help a bear out, as they say, on our way to Glasgow for a week's work. Do we recommend the Rangers Museum? How long to go around it approximately? So JT asking there. I've not actually been it myself. I'm itching to go. Have you been yet, Chris, to the museum?
I've only had a quick look around it. Rangers had like an opening day and spoke to James Bisgrove was there at the time, and Danilo had not long signed as well. So we had a quick look around parts of it that day. I've still not been back for a proper go through it. A day like today is actually ideal for it because there's because it's fairly grim, but no, it's definitely worth it from what I've seen, and certainly from what I've heard. Spoken to a number of people that have been through it and have seen some of the stuff that's in it. If GT is in Glasgow for a few days, I say it's definitely worth a visit.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, let's crack on with some more interesting points on potential incomings. Now, this is a position that I think Rangers do need to strengthen in. Dado Purcell's Blue Boots gets in touch. Morning, buddy. When are we going to get a decent right winger in capital letters as well to emphasise the need for a proper player out there? Now, Oscar Cortez can play out on right wing. We know Rangers are in discussions with Brighton about potentially bringing Abdallah Sima back up the road. He can also play out there, although I think Rangers got more joy out of him playing on the left last season. Are you surprised that not many right wingers have been linked so far this window, Chris?
Again, it's one of many areas that this squad needs improved in. Your obvious one in that place is Ross McCausland. I think he had a very good first season overall. Had some down moments, had some really high moments, as you would expect for a player with his limited first team experience heading into last season. As I think overall he can be pleased with how his campaign unfolded. Is he a starter next season? With everyone fit, biggest games of the season, do you put Ross McCausland in? Probably not. I do think he will have a part to play in the squad. Yeah. Cortez is an interesting one. No, where does the manager see him fitting in? Is he earmarked for that right-sided berth, or do they see him coming off the left? You mentioned Sima there. If he was to come back, I think it's fairly obvious that he's going to be a left-sided one now, playing in that role. As you say, I think we got the best of him in that position. So I would like to see another wide option come in. I think a lot of the signings so far fit into guys who are good squad players, without sounding disrespectful, because the squad had to be rebuilt. And if you're going to lose the 5 out of contract guys, you're going to lose potentially the likes of Cantwell, Lawrence Dowell. If you're going to lose potentially Scott Wright, Matondo, for example, there's then places in that squad that need improved. So places in that squad that need beefed up. You can't just have a a group that's only got 11 good players in it and nothing in behind it. So I think we've seen that. I think the manager almost touched on that on his RTV interview over the last couple of days. It's eager, or he was eager to have some of the younger players brought in. It gives the squad that foundation. It gives them options. The next phase of the window, I think, is can we get guys who are of a slightly higher quality, potentially slightly more expensive, but you can then put more expectation on them. And I think that's where, like that right winger, like the centre half that were mentioned earlier on, like other areas of the side, certainly number 9, certainly number 10. I think that's where we'll then see Rangers change the profile of the signings a wee bit so far. So I think the business that has been done on paper looks interesting. I wouldn't expect these guys to be stalwarts of this team, but I think they will be important members of the squad. And it looks like Rangers almost trying to beef up what's underneath to then go in the next phase and try and add the guys who, I say, just carry that wee bit more in terms of price tag and expectation.
Yep, just off the back of that, Dave gets in touch. He says, I think PC will go with McCausland Cortez on the right and Kabadai, Jefty, Matondo on the left. Well, just taking the left-hand side, what he says, there are some names mentioned in there, Chris. Rabbi Matondo, for me, if an offer comes in for him, I would be looking to move him on. I think Rangers get enough output out of him. Kabadai is an interesting one. It's sort of gone quiet on that front. I think we discussed it last week, didn't we, when all reports were suggesting that it was closing in on a move to Ibrox. It's thought that he has interest in Turkey. But the left-hand side, Jefty we know can play as a left winger. Matondo and Kabadai, what's your views on those two?
We'll take them in that order that Dave's highlighted there. Kabadai, again, it's all gone quiet on that one. Not a lot. I think we mentioned this on the show towards the end of last week. Not a lot of talk on either side of that one, so I'm not really sure where that one is and how close that one is. It looked positive a couple of weeks ago. There's then also reports from Turkey about interest from Gio. Since then, very, very little to talk up from a Rangers perspective. So not sure how that one will unfold and how that one will unfold over the next couple of days. Hefty, we just don't know how good he's going to be. We don't know if he's going to be more accomplished at left back and be a replacement for Barisic in the squad, or is he someone who can play up one just as easily and just as comfortably? Matondo, like you, Derek, I think there's been it's almost a case of how many chances do you give Rabbi Matondo. Now, the first season there were glimpses, but not enough. Last season there's perhaps a couple of more glimpses, but arguably not enough. And you think of the fee they put into him, the wages. Again, is that something that can be used in a better, different way? If you're Clement and Coppin, do you back yourself to go and use those funds in a more effective way for the side? Matondo, I think he's definitely got something. Again, is he someone that you'd hang your hat on every week? Probably not.
He's not available for often enough for me. He falls into the bracket of players that are more often than not injured more than anything else. Chris having a coughing fit there. Hopefully you don't die on air, Chris. But yeah. We'll crack on anyway. Another name that has gone a wee bit quiet is Albion Rakmani. Roscoe with the point says Bologna keen on Rakmani. Time to move on. He is a player that was attracting the attention of numerous clubs across Europe. Rangers were one of those. There was reports in Romania a day or so ago suggesting that Slavia Prague had upped their offer for him from €2.5 million, which was kicked out of town, to €4 million, which is still below the asking price, what the Rapid Bucharest president is looking for. I think he's looking for closer to €6 million or thereabouts. Rangers had an interest in him, but it's another one, Chris. Sort of has got a bit quiet. We don't know that, like Roscoe says here, Bologna are one of a number of clubs that are keen on him, which is understandable given his exploits last season.
It's definitely understandable. It's understandable why Rangers had a look at him as well. Again, this is one that surfaced quite early on in the window. there was then a lot of talk about him, and a lot of people coming on the show, a lot of social media stuff. People, they're really keen on him, wanted this one. This was almost one of the guys that we have to go and get this guy, despite the fact that until the name actually surfaced and people had to be look at YouTube, I doubt if a lot of fans actually knew an awful lot about Rakmani. He does seem to have a good profile. It does seem to have a good track record. But again, from the Rangers end and actually from both ends, there's not been a lot to suggest that there's definitely something on the on the go here. I tried a couple of people close to his side over yesterday. Didn't really get anywhere in terms of how things are progressing. You now see the Bologna links. You do wonder if Rangers will just be a number of clubs linked with this guy, and then in a couple of weeks' time he'll sign for someone completely out of the blue. So I do know that there's a lot of people, a lot of Rangers fans certainly keen on him, but I said not had a lot of encouragement from either side of it over the last couple of weeks. So I wouldn't completely rule it out just because we're not being told things doesn't mean to say that it's not happening. But I say certainly not heard anything to suggest right, let's go and push the button and let's go and start going really big on this guy.
Yep. I think about a lot of posturing as well from his agent and those that representing him, because they do know that Rapid Bucharest looking for as much money as possible. If they can get a bidding war going, then that's all the better for them. Just off the back of that, I mean, Rangers would be paying a substantial amount of money to bring this lad in. Lewis with the point says, do you think we'll get a Marquee signing, like a £6-7 million player? My hunch is that Rangers will be spending maybe not as much as that, Chris, but somewhere around that to bring in a proper striker. I think they have to, more than anything else.
I do wonder about when you class it as a Marquee signing, you then put that kind of figure on it. I made this point in a number of shows and a number of pieces. For me, it's not really about the fee; it's about how well Rangers spend their budget. So if the manager is given X amount and he spends that wisely and he gets 9 out of 10 signings spot on, that's a really effective, that's a really good transfer window for me. If he is given X and he only gets 4 out of 10, well, it doesn't last beyond October because we know how that ends, unfortunately. So for me, it's not about the size of the fee put in different players. The theory usually is the more you spend, the higher quality a player can get. But we've seen enough examples of that over the last couple of seasons to know that that's not always the case. Now, Rangers put a lot of money into the squad in terms of the rebuild last summer. Didn't really get anything for it. No, a League Cup was not what they expected, given the amount of money that was put into that budget or put into that squad under Michael Beale. We have seen other higher profile players come in on bigger wages or with bigger fees who have stunk the place out and have nowhere near good enough. You then look at someone like Morelos, cost £1 million, and if you can say you get what you pay for, we got way more out of Alfredo than £1 million worth. But someone like Joey Barton, Nico Kranjčar, to go too far back, your wages then don't obviously correlate into a success on the pitch. So I say for me, it's not about the finances in terms of the actual fee into these guys. It's more about how Rangers operate the window as a whole. If you think a good strike rate is maybe 6 or 7 out of 10, Rangers need to up that. Rangers need to be 7 or 8 out of 10. That's not easy. It's a difficult task to do, especially when you're trying to sign as many players under the time constraints, under the budget constraints. Obviously, there's no endless pot of money there to go and just give the manager and Niels Coppin. So they will have to be smart. They do have as much as the time scales are tight now, because these milestone moments at the start of the campaign are creeping up on us, and we're passing them every couple of days in terms of back in pre-season training, and the fixtures are out. It'll be pre-season trip, and then it'll be the Champions League draw, and then also into domestic stuff. These moments are coming quickly, but they have had a lot of time. Now, the manager has had since October to assess this squad and then decide who's good, who's not. Niels Coppin has had since January to plan out this window. So if they get it right, that puts Rangers on a solid footing heading into next season. If they get it wrong, there's really no excuses, because they have had enough time that they should know what the squad needs and be fully aware of the budget and be fully aware of who's going to go and who's going to come in. So there's a lot of pressure on the manager and Neil Scotland to get this window right, and whatever the budget is, they have to spend it wisely.
Yeah, just about the season creeping up. Alison gets in touch, says, Sky are already advertising our game against Hearts. I'm getting nervous. Yeah, I'm sure. Let's just hope that Rangers have the signings in place for that trip to Tynecastle, Alison. Just off the back of that as well, this comment, obviously we're live on Instagram as well. I am Killing Murray gets in touch. He says, any updates on Igaman? We believe that to go through any point from now, really. He was waiting on his visa, which I see reports in Morocco suggest that has now been granted. So we expect that one to be finalised the next day or so. I think a fee in the region, I think it was £1.5 million you reported, Chris, wasn't it, with Far Rabat over in Morocco. I'm excited about seeing this lad after speaking to the two chaps from Moroccan Grinta who cover Moroccan football in great detail. They came armed with a PowerPoint presentation and went into some amount of detail about Hamza Igaman. So looking forward to a few knee slides or two next season.
Well, if there's many of them, it means that he scored many goals, and the more goals he scores, the more chance Rangers have of being successful. So the ground staff at Ibrox may not be his best friend if he's ripping it up, but by sliding across it every week, or at Murrayfield for that matter. But I think he is an interesting profile. Now, we spoke a wee bit about him on the show over the last couple of weeks. Nobody really knows from this end, is he going to be a superstar, or is he going to be a gamble that ultimately doesn't pay off? I thought the thing that came across from that video I did with the guys yesterday, they clearly think that he's got something and that he can make that step up. Now, I'd be lying if I said I know much, if anything, about the standard of the Moroccan domestic league. So I don't have anything to compare it to. Is it the same as Premiership? Is it the same as Scottish Championship? Is it English Championship? We just don't know what level he's going to be at. Again, I think someone you have to give a bit of time to. But really interested to see what he's like, and looking forward to actually seeing him on the pitch and learning a bit more about him in terms of how he fits into this side. If you're talking about marquee signings, he doesn't really tick that box. But as I outlined earlier on, if he's got the quality, if he's got the mentality to come in and handle everything that Rangers can throw at a player, hopefully the homework that the manager and Neil Scotland have done on him over the last few weeks and few months does pay off. As Proxy says there, the presentation was excellent. As I said to you in a message yesterday, their graphics are better than Josh's.
Don't tell him that.
Hopefully Josh isn't tuning in on his well-earned break. But no, I think interesting to see Igamani coming in just to see what he can bring to the squad. Is he going to be the first name on the team sheet come the first competitive game? There's every chance, because Danilo, I actually seen 2 or 3 comments about Danilo coming in on the show this morning. He's someone I think we're going to have to be really patient with in terms of building him up again next season. Don't expect too much to be put on him. So if he's there and Igaman's there, there's more chance of Igaman starting right now, I would think, than Danilo. I'm happy for the manager just to give him a bit of time to try and work his way back up to speed. But from what we have seen of inside Okinawa over the last couple of days, good to see Danilo involved. There's a lot of social media from him over the course of the summer as well. He's clearly put in a bulk of work over the summer to make sure he's in his peak of condition as is possible. But I think we do have to be slightly not wary about it, but just give him a bit of breathing space, give him a bit of time to work his way back into it. But I think if you have Danilo, you have Igaman coming in, I'd still like to see one more. I think you'd be agreement that we still need one more. But that gives us an idea of what that number 9 position is going to as we look out.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting as well. Of course, the Olympics coming up at the end of this month. Morocco are involved. I did quiz the two lads if Hamza would be called up, and they told me that Rangers have insisted that he doesn't go to Paris to represent Morocco. So I thought that was an interesting point as well. So he will be part of the Rangers squad for what will be huge matches in the Champions League, and of course gearing up for the league title bid as well. So, yep, I urge you to go and check it out, folks. It's over on the YouTube channel. Go and have a watch of it, and we are expecting him to become a Rangers player at any point from now. Right, that'll do us there. Big thanks to Chris, as ever, for joining us on the show. Big thanks to you all for tuning in as well. It's much appreciated. We will be back again, unless there's big breaking news that's going to emerge today. Then we'll be back again tomorrow. We'll be on with Stevie tomorrow, folks. So we hope you can join us for that. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.